Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome back to the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report. Tyson Alger here, joined by Justin Myers. And Justin?
Yes.
We're in week 2 already.
We're ready for week 2.
It's always fun that we do what seems like 6 months of ramp up to week 1, and then now we're just in the thick of it. It's on to week 2. They're 1-0, pretty easy, right?
It's always been one of the most amazing things about time is supposed to be a constant. If I could get deep here in the first 90 seconds,
please do. It's 8:30 in the morning as we're recording this. I'm ready to get existential.
But time is supposed to be a constant. But it feels like it takes forever to get to the season. And I've always felt like Labor Day to Christmas just goes by so fast because you get so excited. Week 1 happened. We're going to talk a ton about what went on at Autzen Stadium. I'm sure your Montana Grizzly heart was full. Yeah,
it was just really tough to see an FCS team struggle like that. It was tough for me, Justin.
But it's literally on to week 2, and then the season you get in this rhythm of all right, and then the NFL is going to start, so you'll watch the games on Saturday, maybe check in on some NFL games, check the rankings. Dan Lanning's actually talking about injuries, which is kind of nuts because usually
and he's taking shots at Gundy.
I can't wait to dive into that. Yeah. And then Wednesday we're here kind of looking forward to Oklahoma State, but I mean we got to talk a little bit about what happened. I am going to preface everything I'm going to say on the Oregon-Montana State game by saying I understand it is one game. I understand that it is an FCS team. I understand that these games are usually done for a purpose, and that is on one side,
a large cash transaction,
funds and economics, and then on the other side, kind of polishing up. This game was never supposed to be competitive, but if I could get my one curse word that I've allotted to myself out of the way early, holy shit, they look good.
Yeah. I'm with you on all of those prefaces of your opinion, but also I was going to say you weren't a part of this podcast quite yet at this point last year, but same exact situation with Idaho last year, and we had to drag that thing out for 2 to 3 more weeks afterwards just because of how not poorly they played in that game, but how not great they looked in that game. And so I think we're allowed to at least jump on the inverse of that, at least for a few days here going into Oklahoma State, because I'm right there with you. In one sense, maybe there's some disappointment because you're not the Ohio State-Texas game on, the big game of the day. You're playing number 1 versus number 2. Everyone's eyes are on you. But who would you rather be right now, Texas or Oregon? Would you rather be Oregon where you go everyone looked good, but you were playing an FCS team? Or would you rather be Texas where you're Arch might not be the man. We got to blow every it's. Yeah, we still don't know a lot about Oregon and what Dante Moore can do at higher levels, but this at least staved off the Wolves for another week. And as we found in college football, sometimes it's just who can stave it off the longest is who ends up being successful.
Well, and you may know more than I do, but we've joked about the Montana State kind of part of this about, obviously your rivalry that you have, but this, it's not like Montana State is a doormat.
No, they
of
were.
The
they were national runners up last year.
Yeah,
they're not quite in the same major upset caliber of a North Dakota State was, during the last decade or so. Yeah. But they're tier 2, right underneath that. It's you have your 2 or 3 FCS teams that can consistently you don't want to play these guys, and Montana State say, maybe you want to play these guys, but there are a lot worse FCS teams that you could have opened up with if you wanted a cupcake, if you will.
And I've always said, especially when it comes to these games, if you've watched enough football, trust your eyeballs, right? Just trust your eyeballs. And if you watched Oregon last year, early on in the season, your eyeballs were telling you I can kind of see it, but it's not quite there yet. Ultimately, it would click, and they would go on to win 13 straight games and be the number 1 team in the country at the end of the regular season. But at the beginning of the season, you're it's just not quite.
And it was even just like simple things back then last year too, because it's like, okay, yeah, like everything might not be in super sync, but like you would expect on the lines at least for like at least the talent discrepancy to show or the size discrepancy to show. And if I remember correctly, Dylan Gabriel was sacked like 5 or 6 times in that Idaho game.
Yeah.
A year later, playing a similar type of team, the Ducks didn't have a single play of negative yardage. Like the offensive line just dominated those guys. And again, they're going to be facing tougher competition as we get going in the season, but in terms of just like passing checkpoints and maybe assessing where you're ahead of where you were last season.
Yeah.
The offensive line was like the main thing that slowed the Ducks down as they got started last year. And this year, like they looked great.
Yeah. I mean, and I think like you mentioned, Dante Moore, and we will find out later on in the season, like how he reacts to pressure, how he comes back from a tough series, because he hadn't had a tough series yet, right? He's week 1. Smooth sailing. Huge part of that was because he might as well have been wearing a red jersey.
Yeah.
Like he wear in practice where you're not allowed to touch him. Like he was literally untouched back there and picking apart Montana State. But again, I kind of go back to trusting my eyeballs and just the way the ball comes out of his hand, the way that he looks as a quarterback. There's really nothing where I go, maybe like you watched Dante Moore play and I know he played for UCLA 2 years ago, but it was as if he was, a 3rd-year returning starter coming back. I mean, he looked that comfortable. Again, prefacing it with, I know it's week 1, but like he looked as comfortable and ready for his moment and taking over his offense as I've seen technically a first-year quarterback look.
But there are certain moments that you can take out of that and be like, that decision was the decision that you would have to make in any game. And where I was the most impressed with Moore, it wasn't any throw he completed. Like, we know he can zip the ball. We know he can throw it downfield. It was in the second quarter. It was a 3rd and 10. They were in the red zone. He rolls out to his right. He's looking. Everyone's covered. This seems like it would have been a play where you have a guy who hasn't played in 2 years. He's trying to like assert himself as the new starter. He's got the Bose headphones deals. There was a couple windows that he could have just completely zipped it in and like tried to force a throw and be like, I'm Dante Moore. I'm the 5-star. But instead he looked up. He didn't see a good opportunity. He tucked it and he ran it for like a 3-yard gain. It wasn't a first down, but it wasn't a turnover. It kept the drive alive, and the Ducks went and kicked 3 points afterwards. It's not spectacular. You're playing FCS Montana State. You want to see these highlight level plays, but that was one of those ones where that was a situation where he had a right and a wrong decision to make, and he made the right decision, and it wasn't flashy, but it kept things moving. And like those are the plays that we're going to want to see him make further down the season, because like we know they're going to be able to move the ball downfield, but it's red zone stuff is where maybe Dylan Gabriel struggled at certain points last year. And yeah, it was just, I took a lot from that, because it seemed like a mature quarterback who isn't trying to force things right now. And yeah, that was a really good sign for me heading into next week.
And I mean, going back to the offensive line, and I think it's just kind of where we are in the world of college football, where you get these transfers in and everything is secretive, right? Practice is secretive. And we had a spring game, but for the most part, nobody's really seen kind of Oregon do their thing. They're behind a berm or in the stadium that is locked down with security. And this was the first time kind of watching the offense or just this team as a whole. And I think outside of Dante Moore and how comfortable he looked, Tyson, I think my biggest takeaway was seeing the offensive line, which you hear about and you look at it on paper and it shows their height and their weight and you go, yeah. And then you see them and you're like, that looks like Texas's offensive line. That looks like Georgia's offensive line. That looks like an Alabama under Nick Saban offensive line. Like that's a different look. And Oregon's has some tremendous offensive linemen. Like there's a bunch of them playing in the NFL right now as we speak, but just like, as they say, like they step off the bus well.
Right.
That was probably my biggest takeaway, was when they would go, and I rewatched like the broadcast, and they would pan to the sideline, and there's, the offensive line group sitting, and I'm like,
are they sitting?
Those guys they're just massive. just massive human beings. And it's just like this whole thing started with Cristobal, right? With building from the inside out, and we got to recruit a different type of athlete. You have to recruit a different type of lineman. And Dan Lanning, through the transfer portal, has taken it to a different level of like, because that used to kind of be the thing on Oregon, right? Yeah, as a quarterback, you could be a star. As a receiver or running back, clearly you could be a star. But could you be a star lineman? And then you've seen Penei Sewell. You've seen, like, Jackson Powers Johnson is in the NFL. You've seen these guys now make it to the NFL, and like, you got 3 dudes on that offensive line that are going to be playing on Sundays. Like, Oregon's never really had that. Where like almost the entire offensive line is NFL caliber.
What I appreciated about this game is, you go into the first game of the season, there are certain players that you just want to see pop a little bit because you've been talking about them for a while. Like, second drive, they go to Kenyon Sadiq for that 20-yard touchdown where I think that was a DB matched up against him. It might have been a linebacker. Either or, the size difference between a Kenyon Sadiq and a Montana State defensive back, if you will, was because Kenyon caught that. The defender was on him as soon as he caught that, and he just did a nice, gentle little shove. Gentle might not be the right word there, but there are a lot of things that you can pull from a FCS game and be like, oh yeah, like, why would you get excited about that? You're playing against a lower level team. There is just a little bit of fun though when you're watching a guy like Kenyon Sadiq, who's going to be a first-round draft pick, who might be the best tight end in college football this season, whose arms are about the size of my legs, just in terms of like how big he's built. It's just kind of fun to see that physics lesson a little bit of like, have fun trying to cover this dude because he's going for 20 and a touchdown.
I think like Bruce Feldman has a list of like biggest freaks.
The freaks list.
And Kenyon Sadiq is at 11. And
do you know who's higher than Kenyon Sadiq on there?
I do not know.
Amari Washington. He's number 4. He's Oregon's nose tackle, who's 320 pounds and can run like a gazelle.
Because that was the question: is like, who are the 10? If Kenyon Sadiq is 11, like, who are the 10 dudes physically freakier than that guy? Well, one guy's on the other side of the ball for Oregon, but yeah, you watch that and it's just like,
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Like, not only did he shove the one defensive back aside, he hurdles another guy.
He had a hurdle, and then 1 minute later, DeCorian Moore had his hurdle.
Yes.
It was like watching like an A10 Warthog and a P51 Mustang. One's like a war machine, the other is like more of an aerial fighter. It's size difference. I was trying to make comparisons here. But yeah, that was cool to see both of those guys because one of them's 235 pounds and the other's like 175 pounds. And I think they got about both the same amount of air there.
So it's funny. Last week we were talking about like things you get excited about for the opener, right? Especially an opener that like this outcome is going to be kind of predictable. So if you were Oregon, right, and you were going down your checklist, beautiful day.
Oh, gorgeous day. Gorgeous day. Perfect.
Perfect day. Good atmosphere. Dante Moore looks good. Kenyon Sadiq stiff-armed a guy and then hurdled a guy. DeCorian Moore, you see, like,
dude,
you see what everybody was talking about, not just with the hurdle, but like there was a couple of times
they were using him in like DeAnthony Thomas type ways.
Yeah.
There were end arounds, there were carries, there was stuff out of the slot.
So you saw DeCorian, boom, there's a check, offensive line, completely dominant. Boom, there's your check. Defense, like Uiagalelei got a nice sack in there. Boom, there's a check. Like the checklist of Oregon fan stuff all hit. Of the things we talked about though, Tyson, last week, the one thing that I think Oregon's just absolutely has to get better at, what's with his duck head? Keep falling off. This is twice now in 3 years.
I know.
This is twice in 3 years that duck head has fallen off. We talked about last week about how we kind of like that they've made this duck entrance a thing. It's the duck's own like part of the pregame stuff, right? Other than when he's on the motorcycle. And it happened against Colorado with Deion Sanders. The head fell off. And he's like, oh, well, they had a cowboy hat on. Maybe it was...
Yeah.
Duck head fell off again.
Yeah.
How does it happen?
And the best thing too is everyone's going like, oh, that's a bad omen. That's not a good sign. Like, boy, Oregon's getting ready for this season, and before they get even on the field, the duck head falls off. I will give the duck credit. He was only on that turf for about a millisecond before he got right back up, and the waddle, the run waddle he had back to the tunnel was just chef's kiss. It kind of looked like somebody who was like in a bathroom stall who ran out of toilet paper and he's got to get over to the other one real quickly. Like it was, see, that's the type of writing creative mind that you just don't get at any other publication. But yeah, it was like what the
hell? Okay, two thoughts on this.
Do you think there's past Ducks who are sitting there watching, kind of like the football alumni who are like, all right, we gotta see how this year's duck looks. And they just go like, oh.
Tacking on at the end of this, I have a story about a past duck that I do want to tell. But I have two thoughts. First off, we mentioned like this has happened before.
Correct.
Like every great performer, like you have to practice all scenarios. Like every great athlete, which obviously the duck at some points in his career has been a tremendous athlete. Do you practice the chaos? Because it felt like a code blue, right? In a hospital, like whenever trauma 1 code blue, the head is off again because he was out the tunnel, and then like the support staff was like scoop it up. It's like somebody. I've heard stories of like when a kid throws up at Disneyland, like there is a whole like. Get that, boop, cleaned it up, and just nothing to see here. It like the Big Ten Network tried to like get it as part of the intro, but they couldn't because like credit to the mascot team, I guess, for being ready to go. Like, do they practice these scenarios?
They got him out of there quicker than the Secret Service got Trump out of there when there was an assassination attempt. The duck didn't like put his head back on and raise his fist up to the odds and crowd. So we don't need to wade further into that, but
just let that marinate for a moment. Yeah. So that was my first. I was like, second thought is okay. I do not know. I've never been in a mascot costume. I've never been in.
Have you ever looked in the mirror, Justin?
So I don't know the loops and hooks and snaps and zippers.
They're just gonna weld that thing on next time.
But that's what I'm saying. Rivets. After the Dion thing happened, where the head flew. How do we not have And
if you're the duck,
like if the duck falls down, the head just flies off.
If you're the duck, do you come out on Saturday against Oklahoma State with like a neck brace on, or
absolutely,
or something to kind of wink acknowledge?
You absolutely have to. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those where it's like we move on. We don't acknowledge what had happened. But like, yeah,
I need to do some investigative reporting and like how that works. I also want to figure out, like, there's got to be, going back to what we were talking about earlier, there's got to be an alumni group of like ducks. There's got to be one of those guys who thinks he was the best one ever, right?
Yeah,
like 100%. There's got to be a Marcus Mariota of Oregon Ducks out there, and they're never allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about it. Yeah. Shout out to Ty Bowen, who was, I mean, for my money, the best duck of all time. A lot of people don't know this.
I got him in like my top 4.
Yeah. So here's my mascot story. So there was a time when I was working in Eugene during the summer. I was the on-field MC for the Eugene Emeralds minor league baseball team. And when the general manager, Alan Benavides, came in, and I thought had a very smart idea. He was like, why do the Emeralds not have a mascot? So they created this bear. This bear is still known as Sluggo. Great mascot. And so much like a summer workout, some of the former or the current duck performers would then hang out with us, and they were also Sluggo. So if you live in Eugene and you wondered why Sluggo seems to act an awful lot like the duck, they were the same kids.
It's like the summer internship sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would have skits with the mascot, and we would do fun minor league stuff. So I got to know these guys, and it was so shout out to Ty and Ed and the guys that were the duck who were also playing Sluggo. So they were kind of friends of mine. Then fast forward to the next spring, Chip Kelly would run a bowling fundraiser. And one time it was a very unfortunate incident where there was a Eugene police officer shot and killed in the line of duty, and they would raise a lot of money. And one of the fundraisers was you would put together a bowling team, and you would get an Oregon player to be on your team. And me and my broadcast partner, Steve Tannen, we fundraised and we got ourselves a bowling team.
Can I ask one question? Yeah. Tannen seems like the guy who would have his own glove. Like he seems like he'd put a fair amount of spin on the ball, you know.
I do know that we took second place, and the second place trophy was a bowling pin signed by the 2011 Oregon Ducks that I still have.
I was going to say that's a pretty unique.
It's pretty. Yeah, I have a very unique Oregon memorabilia because I do have a bowling pin signed by a lot of Oregon Ducks in the heyday. But
when they lost to Stanford, did the pin just fall down
on its own? Just. So we're sitting at this bowling alley, warming up. And then we also, because we're radio guys, we brought in ringers. Mm-hmm. That's how we took second. I'm not a bowler, but we brought in these kids who could just absolutely.
How did you find ringers for? Like I don't have like my recruiting board up for.
I believe their parents were fans of the show, and they're like, our kids are on the bowling team. Yeah. I think at Sheldon High School, they're like, they're on the team, and we're like, they're on our team now. Yeah. And we took second place.
No NIL era, you don't have to pay these kids.
and our duck was Bosico Lacombo. Shout out to Bolo, who was on our team. He was very cool. But as part of the fundraiser, guess who makes a special appearance?
The duck.
The duck. And so. And the duck does not speak. It is a
right.
So I'm sitting and I practice bowling, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and there's the duck behind me. Inside the duck is the kid that I worked with all summer before. He's like, "Hey, Justin, it's Ed," with the duck costume on. Now I remember I have just bowled, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Ed? How's it going?" He's like, "Pretty good." So. Tannen is back where the bowling balls come out, looking at me on the lanes, having a full-on conversation with the mascot. And I come back and he's like, "Were you just talking to the duck?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that was Ed." So yeah, that was my funny mascot story. Also, shout out to Ed. I don't believe or Ty. I don't believe the mascot head ever came off when they were the duck.
That's a great story. I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's time. I was talking to a couple people at the Eugene Springfield office yesterday about I gotta do something on maybe it's just like talking to like a bunch of former Ducks about their war stories, but like I want to get into like the goofiest appearance you ever had to go to. What's like the worst horror story in terms of like head popping off in that situation, but I really just want to talk to the duck who fought the Houston Cougar and do like a deep dive on where are they now. Because like I've read some like follow-up stories on that guy who was the Houston Cougar. He didn't like that day that much.
That was not it could not have been a good day.
It was not a fun day for that Cougar.
That was I remember that like it was yesterday because I believe that was the first football game. I could have my years wrong. Forgive me if I did. But I believe that was the first football game where Pat Kilkenny was the athletic director. And it's like Kilkenny was brought in to do two things. Get Phil Knight to build a basketball arena and to get a baseball stadium and a team set up. And essentially get what was at the time a strained relationship between Oregon and Nike
and Phil,
to get it bridged and back to where it is now. I don't think he was brought in to deal with the mascot got into a fight on national TV against the Houston Cougar. And so what do you do? Oregon had to do something, and so they suspended. The duck was suspended.
Wait, which by the way,
not the guy in the duck. The duck there was a game where there was no duck on the sideline because the duck was serving a suspension.
Well, and then
we suspended a cartoon duck.
I mean, that happened again in 2009 with the "I Love My Ducks" video. I Smell Roses. The duck didn't get it cleared to appear in their video. So then he got basically they gave him the option of you get suspended for one game, or you missed the postseason. He's like, well, I'm not going to miss the Natty, so I'm going to take the suspension now. Which I believe in 2010 wasn't it Kilkenny still the AD?
I think so.
Yeah, so that's 2 ducks that he had to put down over.
And then
or 2009.
And then God, I can't remember the game it was post Houston. But then the duck did make an appearance in the Oregon Sports Network would have their own broadcast,
right?
With Anthony Newman and Joe Giansante. Joe Giansante, who we talked about last week, was one of the people who brought Shout into. He was also the duck when he was in college, and so I think he always had a love for the mascot. And Joe and Anthony into the Oregon Sports Network booth brought the duck, who was under suspension, to give a wave to the crowd. I don't know if it was received well in the athletic department office. Yeah, different times.
I love that.
Different times. And now the duck can't keep his head on.
Were you at the game Saturday?
I was not.
You were not.
No, I was not at the game on Saturday.
It was. I just kind of going back to, you said it was a perfect day, perfect weather for it. It was it's been hot as hell in Oregon the last couple of weeks. It subsided enough for the game. It felt like it was 80 or so. The stripe out looked nice. I always think it's a little risky when they do that for the early weeks of the season because the student section doesn't always fill up that early in the year just because school hasn't started yet. But yeah, it's just between the play on the field, the day, how the team looked physically, and just the uniforms looked nice. It was just, it was a nice, it wasn't, it's what spring games are going to turn into, it's that nice celebration of the program, an easy little easy win before you go into Gundyville with Oklahoma State coming into town. So my question to you is was there anything concerning about that game that is going to carry over into week 2? The only real thing that I could see Oregon fans complaining about after that game was, well, where was Mekhi Hughes? I thought he was going to be the best running back on the team. But at the same time, every other running back's ripping off runs of 10, 15 yards. Jordan Davidson had 3 touchdowns. By the way, that kid's 6'3", 235. Or he might not be 6'3", but he's definitely 235.
He's definitely 235,
He's a tank. And so, if your biggest concern after the game is about a certain running back when your team just rushed all over the field and every running back looked good, I think you're in an okay spot.
So real quick on the stripe out, social media is evil in a lot of ways. I feel like it is a net negative on our society. I do not like my dependence on social media. I'll fully admit I sometimes do it for the likes, Tyson.
Oh, baby, I'm all about the likes.
And I don't feel good about it, but I do it.
But that little microscopic hit of dopamine every time one like comes through.
But there is some positives to social media. And for years, Oregon had always wanted to coordinate the crowd. Once in a blue moon, you could hey, we're blacking out Autzen Stadium, and you could do once a season. But the blessing of the fact that Oregon had so many looks was also the curse of you're never going to be like Nebraska, where everybody just wears their red stuff, or you're Texas, where everybody wears burnt orange. It's never going to happen. And
what color green are we supposed to wear?
Credit to social media, is this is now, I think, 2 years in a row they've managed to pull off the stripe out. which I've always wanted. Like I remember the first time I think I ever saw it was Boise did it. And I'm like,
that's cool.
If Boise can do it, why can't Autzen? Like Autzen's made for it.
Yeah.
Like the sections go straight. It's perfect pinwheel, and Oregon could never pull it off. In the last couple of years, they've been able to pull it off. So tip of the cap to social media for being able to pull that off. Still a net negative. Going back to your second point, if you would have asked me this on Monday, like what would have been maybe the concern for that game would have been like, is Oregon going to be like, oh, this is how easy it is? Do you lose kind of that edge? This was a game where they're like, we've been hitting each other for a month. It's a different color uniform to hit. It's a different person behind that face mask. I'm tired of hitting my roommate. And you come out week one and you blast him and you go like, oh, okay, it's easy. And I would have worried about that until Mike Gundy opened his mouth. until the old Oklahoma State Cowboy literally decided to shoot from the hip and start with what is, I think, the laziest take on Oregon.
They spend money on players.
They spend money on players. It's like, okay.
I'm sure glad that none of these Texas, Oklahoma, Southern schools don't have any big billionaire oil men.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously Phil Knight, well-known benefactor for Oregon athletics. Who's the other like billionaire benefactor? Maybe like names on stadium, built like the entire infrastructure of one particular, like not a group of boosters, but like one guy.
Boy, I just don't think there's another one out there.
I don't. What? T-Boone Pickens?
T-Boone. Oh, no, I picked him third in my fantasy draft this week.
Billionaire fantasy
doesn't that sound like a wide receiver, like T-Boone Pickens? You pick him up in the third round, he gets some throws from Ben Roethlisberger.
Oklahoma State has remained relevant solely because of a billionaire benefactor. And you're really gonna pull like, did Mike Gundy like literally tried to pull the we're so poor?
Yeah.
Like,
which isn't something that a man who's 40 does. That's somebody I'm a man. I'm now in my 60s, and I feel that I didn't accomplish what I set out to do as a coach, and I stayed here for way too long, and now I'm playing a 39-year-old coach who has the entire league in his palm and has the finance. Yeah, it seems like he's making excuses, Justin.
I don't know what he was thinking. Like,
because you know how tough it is to get a response out of Dan, like on anything. And and Dan basically just drops that, like, yeah, like we're investing to win, and some people save to not.
There's been a handful of times where like, and you would probably know more than I because you're in the press conferences, you're there, boots on the ground. But like, it reminded me. Remember when like, just out of nowhere, Lanning dropped the little shot at Dion of. That won anything in this conference? No, didn't think so. Got it. And then Oregon came out and kicked the holy hell out of Colorado. And then we saw the fight, like I don't know how he's going to spin this, but he's going to. It's like all week it's going to be anything. Like all they think of you is spoiled children. You're just money hungry, greedy players. You don't care about ball. Like, what was Mike Gundy thinking? Like, from both from a competitive level, you just get, you know what? They should, really these teams that spend big, they should have to play the same teams on the same budget. What'd they spend? $40 million on their roster, blah, blah. So you got that. So, Lanning is going to absolutely find a way.
But every other team's going to do that too, because Oregon's not an outlier. I mean, like Oregon is probably one of the 10 most financially sound programs in this, but there are other ones, and there's teams that Oklahoma State's going to have to compete against a lot more than they compete against Oregon. So it's just like, are you just sitting here waving the white flag against this entire system of college football?
So there's that part of it, and then there's the other part of it, which is you had a billionaire benefactor build everything for you. Like, I'm sorry, Oklahoma State, without T. Boone Pickens' billions of dollars, you are an irrelevant college athletic department. You are. Like, Oregon is just a little bit further ahead than you, but you don't have the office that you're sitting in, Mike.
Yeah.
Without a billionaire benefactor who decided he was going all in on his alma mater. That's all Oregon is doing. They're just cranking it up to 11. So like it was an odd choice going into this week. Now maybe Gundy is sly like a fox. Maybe he's turning everybody's attention onto this, and he feels like it's taking the attention off of something else. I don't know. But Tyson, if you would have looked at the schedule, right, for Oregon football this season, and you would have asked me every game, I could have found something.
Some storyline.
Right? Montana State as what it was, that's opening weekend. Northwestern, big noon kickoff, and they're playing next to Lake Michigan still. Beach game. Oregon State, is this the last Civil War? Maybe. Penn State, holy cow.
Yeah.
Right? Every single game. Oklahoma State, it's my favorite Seinfeld reference, right? Tuesday has no feel.
It has no feel.
Oklahoma State had no feel until Gundy brought the heat.
Yeah.
And good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him. We have an extra little bit of, spice on this week's game because all right, Oklahoma State, good, not great.
Yeah.
Fine Big 12 school. They've had some success. But I don't know. Now it's like, oh, you think Oregon just goes out and buys everybody, which they do, but
so does everybody else. If the 2024 Oregon team was playing this Oklahoma State team like mid-season, so we're at a point where guys are knowing what they're supposed to do, I think this would have been like a 35-3 or 35-7 type of game. I don't know what the window is for this Oregon team, but I feel like these guys are going to be pretty motivated. And again, I don't want to overreact to what we saw in week one, but I'll tell you what I saw in week one at least closed the gap slightly for me in terms of, we've talked about the kind of unknown ceiling of this group and maybe where the floor is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the floor is pretty solid right now. There's a lot of talent on that roster. And again, it's hard to tell against FCS, Montana State, especially Montana State. But yeah, it was just like there wasn't any specific position like looking on the field where I'm like, oh, they're way worse at this than they were last year. Maybe we just still haven't seen enough from like the whole array of wide receivers, but Kenyon Sadiq can do a lot. DeCorian Moore can do a lot. We saw other guys make plays. I think this is going to be a bloodbath.
Have you ever been like, whether it's at a party or maybe at a dinner, and there's like maybe somebody says something, or a husband, because it's always a husband, makes an off-color joke that they think is funny, and like everybody's like, oh yeah, okay. And in your mind you're like, they're gonna fight on the way home. Like on the way home, they are going to fight. There's an argument brewing there. They're not gonna do it at the table, but like they're gonna fight. They're gonna be in an argument on the way home. Like, that's what I watched that Lanning little 40-second clip of. The more he says, I respect Coach Gundy. In his mind, he's just this.
I'm not upset. I'm not.
I'm fine. I'm perfectly calm.
I don't even think of him.
It had like those vibes, and like it felt like he wanted to like go off, but knows he can't. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what a great place. We invest to win. And just because the one thing that I was like, that's not something Lanning normally says, which is some people want to save to make excuses. We don't. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's okay.
That was a good line.
It is. And it felt like he really wanted to, like, are you stinking kidding me? This is what. Also, but he's going to go back into the practice facility and whatever, meeting thing he's got. He redid his PowerPoint. Like, he probably had a PowerPoint by Saturday night of theme for the week.
The poor Ducks versus them team had to just like completely rescramble their shooting.
Changing it all.
Yeah.
New message this week. So I'm fascinated to see what happens in this game.
Like, how do you think those Gundy comments go over in his own locker room? Because there are players who've been paid in there.
Yeah.
And, like, is that going to create a further ocean between the players who've been paid and the players who haven't paid, or the players who thought they got paid go like, oh, like you don't have like. You said like this was top range money. Is this not top range money? Like
should I start looking elsewhere?
That just felt like a very unforced error for a school who's not in the position of Oregon State. You know, like you didn't get left behind. You aren't lacking of billionaire donors. Like you guys just suck at this, frankly, right now.
So
we'll clip that in case they pull off the upset.
Yeah, then we're really gonna.
Yeah.
Next week might be a tough podcast. And it might. I mean,
I welcome that.
Like it might happen. Like there might be pure chaos. Who knows? I don't think so, but
the Ducks' lower half might fall off.
It loses.
How did that happen?
It loses a web. It ran out of its web feet. How does that even happen?
He's been training. He's just got too much acceleration. Too twitchy.
But okay, so is there a deeper thing here? Is Gundy? Did he break a blunder, or
he's not playing chess? He's not playing chess with this, Justin.
No, okay.
No, he's
not even really playing checkers.
With that, Harry, you're not thinking 5 moves ahead. Like,
but my question is, I guess, is that the thought of coaches in college football that are not Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, James Franklin, Ryan Day, Dan, essentially the 15 to 20 halves that are spending money left and right on massive rosters. Like, is there still a bunch of, because we know like Dabo Sweeney has spent the last 3 years pouting.
Right.
And I'm not going, right? And it's like, Coach, we can get some transfers in. No, we're not doing that. He's been pouting for 3 years and not really winning national championships like they were, 7 years ago. Like, is there a handful of coaches like Dabo and maybe like Mike Gundy who are essentially just kind of pouting?
Probably.
Yeah,
definitely. It's
and he was just like a sounding board this week.
What's interesting to this is, so last week I did a sit down with Oregon baseball coach Mark Wazakowski, and we were talking about his summer, and he's like, I've been on the recruiting trail for 40 straight days, and it's just crazy because you'll be in one place and then you'll get a call from a coach who's like, hey, so-and-so is pitching tonight at 6:00 and he's about to enter the portal. And he's like, so I'll change my flight, fly into there, get there, and there's Jay Johnson, he starts listing off like these big time college babies. He's like, everyone's there. And he goes, there are some coaches who are able to like run into like a string of luck of they can be lazy and they just happen to get one or two of the right players. And he's like, and it can work out for you. Cause if it's baseball, maybe it's an arm that can carry you. But he's like, it scares the shit out of me to try to like be lazy or try to string that together. But then he further went in to go on. Like I asked him, what's the difference between you guys and a team that keeps making the college, where's the hump? What did you talk to Rob Mullins about? And he's like, well, there's two things. And one of them is just one that we can't change. He goes, like the LSUs of the world, they have a $5 million recruiting budget. They have a $5 million transfer budget. And we're about 20% of that. He wasn't making an excuse. He was just saying that like, this is what it is. He's like, how do other teams in Major League Baseball figure out how to beat the Dodgers and the Yankees? So like, he's realistic about where they're at, but then he goes, the way you beat that is you just have to work your ass off. And it's somewhat of the same argument. It's a team that's trying to beat others that have far more funds than him. But like Wazakowski is also like, this is what we signed up for. Like this is the challenge. We have to be better at other things. So like their big thing that they're trying to stand behind is we're better at developing our prospects and we are better at hiring some of the best coaches in the country to come teach those guys. So like at least like they're standing behind, this is what our strength is in lieu of not having $5 million to spend on transfer people. Gundy's coming out and just being like, we're poor. Like it's not like we believe in our team, we believe in like what we develop, and we believe that we have a way to circumvent this. He's just basically saying we'll never have a chance because we're not able to throw millions at that. And I just think that's kind of a losing mentality.
Well, and here's the other part of it that scares the hell out of me as a college football fan, right? Like, these paycheck games aren't the best, but I still like the fact that that's a part of college football. Yes, another Saturdays are different than Sundays rant from Justin. But I like that. I like that there's a paycheck game. I like that there's some discrepancy. And then every once in a while you get like a tight game and you're like, ooh, what's going on there? And like the fact that, man, Idaho almost did it again against the Cougs. Like, what's going on there? And so it's all, I like that that's part of college football. And what Mike Gundy is talking about, and I don't even think he understands what he just brought up, but he essentially said, well, there should be some comparable budgets in the non-conference. What you're saying, Coach, is that the Big Ten and the SEC should just make their own league.
Yeah.
That's what you said. You didn't flat out say it, but it's step one of a 7-step process to making the Big Ten. So the Big Ten West, which is going to be USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington, will face the SEC East in a non-conference contract, and then they'll play a conference game, and then they'll play a college Super Bowl, and then you guys are not going to be on TV. Well, you'll be on TV somewhere, ESPN4 or whatever streaming service. But like that's what you just insinuated. Oh, so all the teams with big budgets should play each other. Okay, who's going to play you?
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah. You are describing your own irrelevance because nobody's going to be around to play you. Nobody is going to watch minor league college football.
Also, you're beating up on teams that you're way more financially sound than.
Yes.
Who did they play in week 1?
Tennessee Martin.
Boy, I didn't quite see them on Forbes this year.
No.
Where were they ranking in the most successful financial?
I'm not quite sure where UT Martin was, but
you didn't get your magazine this month. It just didn't. You didn't file through it.
Are there still magazines? Do they still exist? You're a writer.
I haven't gotten a magazine.
Like every time I'm in a waiting room, I just scroll on my phone.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the only the only magazines I really still see out in the wild now are like the New Yorker. I still see some of that, and I still see like some of the Economist. I don't see it close to where I live, but
you remember when you have to go to like the dentist and like you go and grab the Sports Illustrated and it was from like a year and a half ago,
or there's like the Highlights magazine and you got to find the damn spoon in the picture in the back. Yeah.
Good times.
Well, I think that's enough on Gundy. And
it's gonna be. I mean, it could be a close game this weekend. Sure. I don't know. But I do think if Lanning has a chance to do what he did to Colorado 2 years ago, I think he does.
Did you watch the Miami game? Did you see almost Mario it?
Yes, I did. Yes, it just.
He
just can't help himself.
I so adore the opening weekend of college football because like you get through Saturday, you think it's done, but then you get the couple Sunday games, and then Monday comes around and you can see Bill Belichick's team just get destroyed. It's a fun like 4 days of football.
Okay, let's talk about Belichick real quick because I mentioned Dion a couple of times and. 2 years ago, the Dion stuff was insufferable. It was just, it was too much. ESPN went all, and I get it. The guy is magnetic.
Yeah.
Whether you're hate watching or praise watch, you're watching. And ESPN for the first month of college football 2 years ago, it was all Dion all the time. And then all of a sudden they kind of leveled off. You had Travis Hunter on a Heisman run last year. And now without Travis Hunter, without Shador, it feels like there's a whole lot less Coach Prime in our face. And I feel like that is going to be fully replaced with Bill Belichick.
I don't think it's got the staying power, only because Prime won his first couple games.
He won 3 games. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were 3-0 when they came
top
into
25
Eugene,
when they came into Eugene. Like Belichick might not survive the month if they keep.
And so, well, that's what I'm wondering is like, ESPN and all these NFL people are like, oh yeah, well, Belichick. I mean, clearly he's gonna outcoach everybody, and he probably could. His team sucks.
Yeah,
Like the idea that football knowledge and scheme, which is important, but like if you don't have the dudes, you don't have the dudes, and it's what we knew was going to happen with Belichick, which is he cannot recruit because he's never done it. How can you recruit if you've never done? And I don't care if we can pay players now and transfer portal this and that. And it's like, I watch Tyson. I watch Hard Knocks every year. I love Hard Knocks.
Is that the documentary about Knox blocks?
That is not, unfortunately.
Okay.
What is Knox blocks?
You don't know what Knox blocks are?
Should I know
that was like when we were kids, you would have Jello, which is more kind of like wobbly, but then Knox blocks would be. It's a gelatin thing too, but it's a little bit more. You could like cut it in squares, and it would keep its shape a little bit more.
And then you would eat this?
And you would eat them. Yeah, they'd be Knox blocks.
I've never heard of Knox blocks ever in my life.
You're a little bit younger than me, so.
Is it a Alaska thing?
No. I think it's a Midwest.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I don't know. I might be making. Maybe this is just something that I called something and. Grandma, mail in a description of what Knox blocks are to the traffic report email, and we'll do a deep dive next week.
Yes. Now I've completely lost my train of thought. But anyways,
Knox.
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks.
If you watch Hard Knocks, you realize every NFL camp is the same. Every single one. They're like, I don't care if you're the year that I think Cleveland went like 1-15, they were on Hard Knocks. Their camp is the exact same as the Super Bowl champions camp. This year is the Buffalo. Every camp is the same. The NFL is designed that way so that everything is the same. Coaches are moving in and out. The offenses and defenses are all the same. Just the terminology is different. It's all the same. That's the world that Belichick came from, where you could count on 85% of your roster knowing what is expected, and you could count on their performance. It's the extra 15% that separate the playoff teams from the regular teams, and then it's the 1% to win the Super Bowl.
Are you saying those percentages are a little different in the college game, Justin?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm
following along. I'm being an active listener.
As you are learning that you can't just bring in 70 new dudes, rebuild a roster.
Especially when you've never done the transfer portal before. Like it'd be one thing if it was like suddenly Dan Lanning brought in 70 guys in an offseason. It's like, oh, this might be a little risky, but he knows what he's getting into. Bill Belichick has no idea.
And out of nowhere, you just expect to just hit the ground running? No. Your ass kicked.
It's
by TCU, who's good, but I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're a playoff team.
It's like if you took, and I know you're going to 100% understand this reference. It'd be like if you took Max Verstappen and you put him in the Aston Martin instead of the Red Bull. You can have the best driver in the world, but if you put him in a shit box of a car, you're going to finish in the bottom half.
I mean, it is true. Like,
but then Verstappen in this instance then has to be the engineer of the car to then reap it.
But I mean, in my limited knowledge of auto racing, which is Days of Thunder,
Cargo Fast
for NASCAR, and Drive to Survive.
You got to watch the F1 movie. I think you'd like it. It's right.
Is it on? Is it streaming yet?
It's streaming now.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm on it.
Yeah. Hans Zimmer does the soundtrack. It's great.
But like NASCAR is designed like the NFL. All the cars are the same. Like nobody has extra stuff.
Yeah.
All the cars are the same. Just the driver and a little bit of luck, and you don't wreck, and you're good to go. F1 is like college football. Like, sorry, Red Bull has more money than you, and they have smarter people than you, and their cars go faster than you. And that's what I feel like Belichick walked into, was like, oh yeah, what? I got a roster. I bring in some guys. Like, no. It's not like that.
There are a lot of podcasts out there, and we do always appreciate that people find us amongst the sea of everything. Mm-hmm. But, one of the reasons why I think that we are number one, Justin, is there's probably not another college football podcast out there who just made the comparison between Bill Belichick and Formula One.
I don't believe it's at all possible, and I think that's what separates us.
Yeah, that's what separates I was going to say the men from the boys, but we're not men, Justin.
we are not
men.
But I mentioned that 15%. Like that's what separates us.
Yeah,
coming for you, bussing with the boys.
How's your baseball fandom going here in September?
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
Completely gone. Yeah. I've checked out. I checked out by August because my team stinks.
Yeah.
How about you?
It
seems to be like
it's like peaks and valleys.
Such a roller coaster ride.
It's like you'll have a bunch of great news because like they do a bunch of trades and they lose some games, but then Cal Raleigh hits like 2 or 3 home runs, but then they lose some games and then they win one. But then at least we took the Vetter Cup.
Understood.
It's one of sports.
It's like official now. It has a trophy and everything.
Yeah, that kind of ruined it for me a little bit. Like I liked it being our little inside joke, but yeah, I mean it's. I wish the Mariners were still playing a little bit because like they'll make the playoffs. Like they'll make their little wild card thing, but it's just tough when football gets going, man. It really is. It's a whole avalanche of other things on top of a baseball team that's gonna break my heart anyway. So,
but you know what? You're gonna get a playoff game. You get the my favorite thing. I love they do it on opening day, but like when you make the playoffs, you get the bunting. The red, white, and blue, where it's just like, all right, this is different now, and like behind home plate it says playoffs. Like to me that's so awesome. It's the best.
I didn't get it. So they played when they made the wild card thing last year, or then, whatever year that was. They played that one-off game in Toronto, and they opened up Safeco Field to play it on the video board with everybody. So we drove up and we it's like driving 3 hours for a movie.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty fun though. I would like to see a home playoff game though at some point. That would be probably fun, I think.
That would be.
Maybe. I don't know. Stupid baseball. They're never going to win. Sorry, it's my September pessimism coming in here. All right, Justin, we're at an hour. What is currently grinding your gears?
Couple of things. I'm going to start with, this is a question. What's up in college football especially? And maybe you could do an investigative report on this. Mm-hmm. What's up with the mouthpieces? Okay, when I was a kid, and if you haven't noticed this, you're going to notice it, and it's going to drive you nuts. When I was a kid, it was sacrilege to ever play a snap of football without your mouthpiece in. You worried that you would be kicked out of the game if you did not have your mouthpiece in. And I watch Oregon. I watch college football. They have like the big pacifier-looking mouthpiece dangling from their helmet. And Tyson, half the time, they don't have it in. Like, I want to know what is the rhyme or reason to the mouthpiece on the helmet. And the other thing is, they're not even like the right colors. Mm. Like some are like Oregon, I think has there's a pink. And I get it. They're kids, the bright colors, and maybe this is their little bit of individuality that they get. But like there were a couple of times like Oregon receivers were catching a ball and being tackled mouthpiece out. So I'm what's the rule on the mouthpiece? Like what's going on? Yeah. Have you noticed this?
Yeah. Justin, I'll let you into this world since I played a sport that you need a mouthpiece for. Baseball is not. I mean, I'm sure you guys got some concussions in there. Yeah. But so in hockey, like we had, you had to wear the mouthpieces, yes. And around like the same. When I was around playing the same age that these guys are right now, like club hockey at Montana, maybe not quite the same thing as D1 college football, but close.
Close.
there was a lot of people who would like just try to skirt the mouth guard thing. Like there was some guys who thought they couldn't breathe as well with it. So like they'd have it in their helmet and they'd kind of like Steph Curry it a little bit, like have it in like the side and just so like the refs thought you were wearing it, but then they'd either spit it out or keep it on the side like while you were playing. And I think for some people they just thought it was cool because it looked like you're like not wearing your mouthpiece. For some people, it was the breathing thing. I was give me the mouthpiece all the time.
Yeah, I'd like to keep my chicklets.
Because I'm going to hit. And I did end up losing a tooth playing hockey, but that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, like I've had my bell rung a few concussions over the years, and I think at least like one of them, a mouth guard, probably might have gone a long ways towards preventing that because you just get the,
yeah.
Like and so if I was playing football, I'd have my mouth guard in on the sidelines. Like,
so yeah, it just, to me, it's like, I don't understand. It looks like it's become an accessory.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a safety device. And maybe,
which by the way, I thought back in the day, some players, it was almost like the mouth guard was like a signature. Like it looked cool. Like some of those running backs. Like I remember Eddie George had a big one.
Yeah. And I know like DK Metcalf had like, it was like a literal, like looked like a pacifier.
Correct.
But I'm watching and I'm like,
or is it a way to kind of disrespect your opponent when you're just like these little FCS guys don't?
So I remember when I was a kid, and I got my first BMX bike. It was a Huffy, no big deal.
Yeah.
Wasn't a mongoose, but it was yeah, the kid with the mongoose and the pegs were so cool. But it was a Huffy, and I remember like if you kept the foam padding on like the crossbar, like you were a wuss. We had different words for that, but that's not appropriate for this podcast. But you were a wuss. So the first thing you did when you got your BMX two-wheeler is you took off anything of protection because you were. Is that what this is? Or is this just
but on the flip side, like I feel like if I was Dan Lanning, whose like whole thing is like, or like any college football coach is, we don't want any of our guys to pick up unnecessary injuries, especially like a head injury, which could keep you in limbo for however long. I feel like he'd be like on everybody about keep those mouth guards in.
I would think so too, but I don't know. It's just and it's not just Oregon. I've just noticed it in college football, watching all the games this weekend. Just,
I mean, I like
mouthpieces just freely swinging from the helmet while they like are making a catch.
I mean, I like to take some risks too. I don't always drive with my helmet on. All right, what else?
Okay. Massive first world problem, but at some point in your life, Tyson, as a guy, I think you have to make a decision as to what type of outdoor cooking vessel you are going to be, whether you're going to be a charcoal grill, a propane grill, a Blackstone, or like me, I am a Traeger guy. I like fully into the Traeger world. I cook on my Traeger 12 months out of the year, 2 or 3 times a week. I'm a Traeger guy.
If they were to cut you open right now, there'd be a nice little smoke ring.
It really would.
Yeah.
A beautiful smoke ring. So I go to Costco, which is where I get my Traeger pellets. Like that's there. It's a solid bag of pellets. It's a good price. I'm going to Costco to get toilet paper anyways. And I've noticed that
Sorry, I'm just thinking of the cause and effect barbecue.
100%. Yes.
Sorry.
They sell Traeger grills at Costco. They sell them. I know this because my Traeger grill is from Costco.
Correct.
Why don't they have the pellets where they sell the grills? I went in and I'm like, I need some pellets. I go right to where the grills are. No pellets to be found whatsoever. Just the grill. I got to go search around back where the toilet paper and the paper towels are and the big industrial size aluminum foil is to be able to find my pellet. Like, why Why would you not put the pellets where the grill is?
Do you expect to go to the grocery store and have the cereal be in the same section as the milk?
Well, milk needs to be refrigerated, Tyson, and cereal has a shelf life.
Maybe the pellets need to be in a more dehumidified area of the store, so that way when you fire up the pellets, you're not complaining that they were a little soggy. They're not.
I do expect the peanut butter and the jelly to be together.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I don't think is.
I mean, I guess in this like similar analogies, like if you're buying like a bowl at the store, like the spoons are probably in the same section. Yeah,
exactly right. So, the ketchup and the mustard are right next to one another.
You can't buy gas at the car dealership.
You can't?
I don't know. Can you?
I don't
know.
I'm just saying. It's hard enough to navigate through Costco on a Saturday. Like, can we just put the pellets where the grill is? Like, this is the Traeger section right here. This is where you go. All the wine is together. Or I know that because I bought a good chunk of that too. It's really fun when you go into Costco and the list is literally wine, Traeger pellets, toilet paper. Like, that's my Costco list. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's my beef, and I love Costco.
Mm-hmm.
I put up with your bad parking lots and people without spatial awareness in your aisles because you give me bulk things that I need at tremendous prices. I love Costco. Let's just put the pellets where the grill is, so that way I know where I'm going.
Well, okay. You're buying pellets a lot more often than you're buying the grill. The grill is a one-time thing.
Understood.
So maybe the pellets are actually in a better location for where the pellets should be, because they're assuming that, Justin, we know the podcast is going well, but you're probably not buying a second or third or fourth Traeger here.
No.
Yeah.
One day, God willing.
I'll take two. Yeah.
Potentially, I don't know. It feels like it's on purpose. It feels like
Big Kirkland is out.
Big Kirkland is like, once you buy the grill, they know that they have a steady stream because the grill does not work without the pellets. Mm-hmm. So they know that you have to come in and get the pellets. So they take them and place them way in the back so that you go past all the other stuff and you start thinking to yourself, do I want some Himalayan sea salt chips?
I think you do.
I think I do.
I think
How good are those, by the way?
What pellets do you use? Are you like a cherry guy? Are you a mesquite
So
guy?
at Costco, it's called the Gourmet Blend.
It's like the Costco golf ball. It's their own little thing.
It's their own little. Yeah. Well, it's a Traeger product,
right?
So it's not like the Kirkland golf ball where they ripped off Titleist and then got sued.
It's a Pro V one with a different casing.
Yeah. But it's just like it's the Traeger all around. It's gourmet. I think it's maple, hickory, and cherry like all mixed together. I'll be honest. I've been a Traeger guy for like 5 years now.
They're great.
They are great. I can't tell the difference in the pellets, and I don't think you can either. Other Traeger guys, you may say you can. I don't think you can. It's like the
Coke and Pepsi. I could tell the difference.
Well, I could definitely tell it.
Like, well, come on, let's not start saying things we can't take back.
Bud Light and Coors Light, I can tell the difference. But like, when you think that you can, when you order your vodka soda and you think you can tell the difference between your Grey Goose and your Kettle One, like you can't.
Yeah.
And I can't with the pellets, so I buy the all around great gourmet blend at Costco at a great price. I just wish they put it in the Traeger section. That's all.
Well, we certainly know that you guys can tell the difference between a good and a great podcast. So we appreciate you spending time with this great one.
100%.
It would help. We don't generally do this, but I feel like I should start kind of doing the call to action stuff. If you could go onto iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this podcast, please give us a rating. 5 stars would be great. If you want to do 4 stars, just don't even give us the review. Give us the 5. Write a little thing about how nobody brings the Costco pellet discussion to you quite like we do. And
it's the things that people aren't talking about.
And we'd greatly appreciate it. But until we get those reviews, we're just not going to record. We're going to hold out. We're going to do the Michael Parsons, as Jerry kept calling him. Boy, we love that Michael Parsons. His name's Micah, Jerry. Anyways, we'll be back next week.
Can't wait.
Yeah.